Hey, thanks for tuning in. We've made over 20 episodes so far, and it's been selected and recognized by a number of film festivals. We even outright won two Best Web Series awards. More importantly, we hope you are enjoying all the shows we put out there because now we're asking for your support. We've just launched a Patreon campaign to make it easy for you to donate to the cause so that we can keep the lights on. You can find our page at patreon.com/WWV. That's Patreon, patreon.com/WWV.
Each evening from December to December, before you drift to sleep upon your cot, think back on all the tales that you remember of Camelot. Ask every person if he's heard the story, and tell it strong and clear if he has not, that once there was a fleeting wisp of glory called Camelot. Camelot, Camelot. Now say it out with love and joy.
Camelot! Camelot!
Yes, Camelot, my boy. Where once it never rained till after sundown. By 8 a.m. the morning fog had flown. Don't let it be forgot that once there was a spot for one brief shining moment that was known as Camelot.
Okay, Housekeeping 4. We're piling on some episodes, aren't we? For those of you who are just tuning in for the first time, Housekeeping is where we try to remind you of the past episodes and how they're on theme and everything's tied together, and also give you updates on where we are, what we're doing behind the scenes to let you know what's coming up. For example, in the intro, you saw the Patreon campaign that we've started. That's where you can support us and help us keep up the cinematic value that we're pursuing constantly. Speaking of cinematic value, we've tried something new. I don't know if you've checked out the teaser we recently published, but we are doing some fiction, a work of fiction, a short that is on theme, but it's designed more to entertain you on the subject of why and how civilizations fail. All right. Reminder of past episodes. Remember Paul Schotmer, political science professor who teaches a course on how and why civilizations fail. That was episode 21. Episode 22, we had a returning guest, Thomas Tunstall, talking about the college admission scandal. Episode 23, we had Dale Kushner. She wrote an article in Psychology Today about why we harm each other. We've done a number of episodes on why we harm ourselves, but her article and her point of study was why we hurt each other. And then episode 24, my favorite episode of all time, and I doubt it's going to be surpassed, was the interview with Dr. Stephen Novella, a neurologist, professor at Yale University Med School, who is an advocate for science and rational thought. Those are 4 episodes that please check them out. And we also had a rant in there too about William Barr, the Attorney General.
I'm not gonna, as I say, I'm landing the plane right now, and I've been willing to discuss my letters and the process going forward, but the report's going to be out next week, and I'm just not going to get into the details of the process until the plane's on the ground.
In the spirit of housekeeping, and tying everything together, when I was putting together the video clips for the last episode, I came across something that moved me. It reminded me, well, remember back in episode 1, where we tried to lay the foundation for how we were going to proceed in this web series, this World War V, what tone, what goal we would set, what we were trying to reach out and touch you with. That's episode 1. And to remind you, let's take a look at that clip.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Jenny. I'm a sophomore, and this is for all 3 of you. Can you say in 1 sentence or less what... you know what I mean. Can you say why America is the greatest country in the world?
Diversity and opportunity.
Lewis?
Freedom and freedom. So let's keep it that way.
Will?
The New York Jets.
No, I'm going to hold you to an answer on that. What makes America the greatest country in the world?
Well, Lewis and Sharon said it. Diversity and opportunity and freedom.
I'm not letting you go back to the airport without answering the question.
Well, our Constitution is a masterpiece. James Madison was a genius. The Declaration of Independence is, for me, the single greatest piece of American writing. You don't look satisfied.
One's a set of laws and the other's a declaration of war. I want a human moment from you. What about the people? Why is America
Not the greatest country in the world, Professor. That's my answer.
You're saying...
Yes.
Let's talk about...
Fine. Sharon, the NEA is a loser. Yeah, it accounts for a penny out of her paycheck, but he gets to hit you with it anytime he wants. It doesn't cost money. It costs votes. It costs airtime and column inches. You know why people don't like liberals? Because they lose. If liberals are so fucking smart, how come they lose so goddamn always? Hey! And with a straight face, you're gonna tell students that America is so star-spangled awesome that we're the only ones in the world who have freedom? Canada has freedom. Japan has freedom. The UK, France, Italy, Germany, Spain, Australia, Belgium has freedom. So 207 sovereign states in the world, like 180 of them have freedom.
All right.
And yet you, sorority girl, just in case you accidentally wander into a voting booth one day, there's some things you should know. And one of them is, there is absolutely no evidence to support the statement that we're the greatest country in the world. We're 7th in literacy, 27th in math, 22nd in science, 49th in life expectancy, 178th in infant mortality, 3rd in median household income, number 4 in labor force, and number 4 in exports. We lead the world in only 3 categories: number of incarcerated citizens per capita, number of adults who believe angels are real, and defense spending, where we spend more than the next 26 countries combined, 25 of whom are allies. Now, none of this is the fault of a 20-year-old college student, but you nonetheless are, without a doubt, a member of the worst generation ever. So when you ask what makes us the greatest country in the world, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Yosemite? Sure used to be. We stood up for what was right. We fought for moral reasons. We passed laws, struck down laws for moral reasons. We waged wars on poverty, not poor people. We sacrificed. We cared about our neighbors. We put our money where our mouths were, and we never beat our chest. We built great big things, made ungodly technological advances, explored the universe, cured diseases, and we cultivated the world's greatest artists and the world's greatest economy. We reached for the stars, acted like men. We aspired to intelligence. We didn't belittle it. It didn't make us feel inferior.
We didn't identify ourselves by who we voted for in the last election, and we didn't scare so easy. We were able to be all these things and do all these things because we were informed by great men, men who were revered. First step in solving any problem is recognizing there is one. America is not the greatest country in the world anymore. Enough?
Now, 25, 26 episodes, God knows how many teasers and trailers we've done. You kind of forget sometimes what happened way back when, in episode 1. But that definitely set the foundation for the goals we were going to pursue, what we were trying to accomplish in World War V. Well, housekeeping number 4, tying things together. When I was putting together some clips for the most recent episode, the algorithms of YouTube and what have you pointed me towards the last episode of that television show, that newsroom. And let me play for you just a little bit from that.
The greater fool is actually an economic term. It's a patsy.
Thanks for that.
For the rest of us to profit, we need a greater fool. Someone who will buy long and sell short. Most people spend their lives trying not to be the greater fool. We toss him the hot potato. We die for his seat when the music stops. The greater fool is someone with the perfect blend of self-delusion and ego to think that he can succeed where others have failed. This whole country was made by greater fools.
Now that stands in stark differential to a quote that I've always thought of that guides us, that helps us consider our future. And it doesn't talk about needing a greater fool. It's a quote made famous by Isaac Newton in a letter to Descartes, the French philosopher, mathematician, a guy who we quote constantly in this web series. But anyways, Newton writes, and he's trying to explain how he comes up with all these scientific breakthroughs. And he says to Descartes, we are like dwarves sitting on the shoulders of giants. We see more and things that are more distant than they did, not because our sight is superior or because we are taller than they are, but because they raise us up and by their great stature add to ours. That inspired me, and that always has inspired scientists and others, because it's humble, there's humility there, and that we need the shoulders of giants. How different is that than we need the greater fool? Now, here's what moved me this week. Here's I believe, the final scene from Newsroom.
Sorority girl!
Don't be scared.
You're the girl, right?
I'm Jennifer Johnson.
Just graduated Northwestern?
Stay calm.
A year early.
You asked me that moronic question, and then my world came apart, and she came here, and I landed in the tabloids, and I got death threats, and my job is constantly in jeopardy, and you ruined my life?
Again, just stay calm.
Yes, that was me.
What the hell are you doing here?
I'm applying for an internship.
Why?
I watched the show, and I read the New York Magazine article, and I know what a greater fool is. And I want to be one.
Camelot. She's a kid at the end of Camelot. Ask me again.
I'm sorry.
Ask me your idiot question again.
What makes America the greatest country in the world?
You do. Hire her.
Ask every person if he's heard the story, and tell it strong and clear if he has not, that once there was a fleeting wisp of glory called Camelot. 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 Now say it out with love and joy.
Camelot! Camelot!
Yes, Camelot, my boy. Where once it never rained till after sundown. By 8 a.m. the morning fog had flown. Don't let it be forgot that once there was a spot for one brief shining moment that was known as Camelot. I don't know what